Hey guys, welcome back. It's Colorado Crash here with some more Ragnarok Online 2. I've been talking a lot about my experience with this game. And the first rendition of Ragnarok Online. And I wanted to kind of bring up some of the differences in the two. First of all, the story. There wasn't a lot of integration of the story in the first one, but the second one seems to have cutscenes and all kinds of fun integration of this story. I mean, even this first part that I've gone through, I learned that there's a traitor amongst the trainers even. So I think that's really cool. Apparently it happens like 300 years after the original. I mean, which helps kind of get your bearings on what's going on in this world. Speaking of the world itself, there are some similarities. A lot of the maps are not going to be the same because of the way
Why are you here?
The world is now. But some of the cities are still there, like Prontera. That's one of them. I'm actually going to visit that one at the end of the next episode. So you can see it's almost exactly like it was in the original game. But obviously, they can't put all those original maps in there because this is a 3D world, not the 2D isometric world that it used to be, which is kind of it's nice to have the 3D world, but you miss that nostalgic isometric feel. And those sprites were awesome. But in retrospect, I do like seeing that when I get new gear, that my character also changes with his gear. So that's nice. Another thing that they definitely tweaked were the classes. Originally there was a novice class and you got the level 10, and you picked a class beyond that. You could even pick a super novice. Just be a novice the whole time. And now it just goes into the 5 choices, like I think it's Acolyte, Thief, Magician, Swordsman. I'm not sure what the 5th class is, but there's only 5 to begin with. Now each of those, at level 25, you can upgrade one of 2 choices. Like, I'm a thief right now, and I can upgrade to either a rogue or an assassin. I believe that's still the case. That was the case in the original. I like how it's still got kind of that progression wheel. But they did take out a few of the classes for professions, which they're now forcing you into in the beginning of the game, which I find a little bit obnoxious because those used to be classes. only those classes could do those things, like blacksmith, alchemy. My thief is actually an artisan, so I'm guessing that's kind of a tailor cloth style. There's also chef. So I would have liked to have seen maybe those be classes, but I also understand not having them classes and making them available to everyone. I just think maybe it would have been better if I could have made that choice later on rather than at the beginning, so it seems like I can't go back and change that choice. That's kind of how the Korean MMOs tend to do things, though. Just once you make that choice, you're which in this day and age, it kind of falls short of everything else out there. The next thing is when you'd go out into the world in Ragnarok Online, you'd find bosses, which if you could kill with any number of people, as long as you did the most damage, you would be the MVP. So we called them MVPs. They weren't bosses. So they're a little bit different though now, because they're a lot lower level. You can, at level 1, you see me able to fight Master Ring. So it's nice to see them in the world. They kind of lose their context a little bit with being that available. There's of course parties and guilds. Used to be you could have parties. It didn't matter where you were, you would still be getting a little bit of additional XP from everyone that's in your party. And if you were on the same map, everything just kind of fell on the ground. You didn't just pick it up off the corpse, it just kind of burst out of the corpse and was all over the ground and anyone could pick it up. So that was a little frustrating, so I'm glad they kind of cleared that up. So you can add like 5 players in your party. If you want to go bigger, you're gonna have to make a guild, which I think costs some in-game currency. I'm not sure what it is, but once you get a guild, you can actually level your guild, and that allows you to get storage space for your guild and more members that you can add to your guild. It's a kind of nice addition. Guilds before were very locked into like 10 to 15. They were very niche groups. There were even some that had 4 or 5 separate guilds just so they could get all their people in that guild. It was a pain in the butt. So this seems a little bit more friendly too. Lots of people and helpful to the community. In this, there are dungeons. There weren't dungeons in the original Ragnarok. It was maps. Like, there was a certain amount of space that each map had, and then you could go to that map, fight in that space. That space was instanced, but other players could come into it. I'm not sure how to explain that really, but this seems to be more like the World of Warcraft style, where if you're by yourself, it's your dungeon, it's your instance, nobody else can come into it, and it's kind of bordered off from the rest of the world where everyone is. And you can also have party members in that dungeon. And it says you can have a party of 5. I guess when you get to level 50, you can have a party of 10 for those level 50 dungeons. suppose they're quite a bit harder, so you're gonna need a whole 10-player raid team. So
welcome to the village.
That's kind of cool. I like that they added that.
Good thing you came to our village.
It used to be when we were doing the MVPs that you would have to have a ridiculous amount of people just to be able to hit the boss without getting creamed. So that is a nice change. It's kind of structured where you can actually get some better loot rather than, you know, hope that you did enough damage to get the MVP. Another thing that's kind of changed, maybe for the better, is the travel system. It used to be where you could pay a fee to the Kafkas or the Kafras. Basically the little nurse ladies that are sitting in the middle of the city, and they would teleport you to other cities. Depending on which city you wanted to go to, it would cost a lot of money, actually. A lot of in-game currency. But in this, they seem to be able to have waypoints, like 2 or 3 per zone. So you can take, it's kind of like Flight Pass in World of Warcraft. So you can take the Kafras, basically they get on a broom and you're on the back of it, and you just fly to the next waypoint. They also have teleports like they used to, from city to city and from zone to zone. But again, they do cost in-game currency. I think that's a good system. I don't know how hard it would be to travel from one end of the world to the next though. I think having kind of a mount system and, well, I guess in-game currency, you're gonna get more and more as you progress, so you should be able to afford to move that fast. Oh, they also have butterfly wings, which from the original game, basically they return you to your save spot, which is like, it's kind of like a Hearthstone in World of Warcraft. And they have fly wings. Fly wings were always cool to me. You'd have like 30 of them in your bag. And they actually teleport you to random spots in the same zone. So those are pretty cool. So I'm glad they kept some of those things in. With the new game and the fact that they only have the 5 classes to begin with, they do have the 4 professions. One of them being merchant, so it's like merchant, alchemy, chef, and artisan. And all of them are able to open up a shop anywhere and trade with anyone. So that's a little bit better. I mean, if they were going to take out a class and replace it with this system, I think that's a better system so that everybody can make money from everyone else. It's along the lines of the more mainstream type of professions for MMOs. So I think it was a good change. But again, I do miss the merchant class and the blacksmith and the alchemist. Those were pretty fun classes to play. with the merchant class, you'd have like a cart behind you, and you just grab it from behind you and whale it at an enemy. That was some fun times right there. The card system that they originally had was like a weapon augmentation, basically. Randomly, mobs would drop cards of their namesake. So like a pouring would drop a pouring card, and they'd have certain bonuses to like pouring. I think had like luck +1 or something. Anyway, so you put that in your dagger if it had a card slot. Then you'd have the dagger, whatever stats it had on it, and then the +1 luck on that, which should be great for an assassin because they used a lot of luck for crit. But the way it is now is more like glyphs from World of Warcraft. It's character based, so you get 1 to start with, and then you get 5 altogether. I don't know what the maximum level is, but basically, you can put a card in each slot, and it upgrades your character by those stats. So it's a little bit more permanent, which is nice. In the original Ragnarok Online, the whole point was to grind out the gear with more card slots, and then grind the card slot, or the cards themselves. It kind of shifted that whole style of play into more of a casual, progressive play. Which is, it's nice in some ways. In other ways, it's like, I miss that. I miss things being hard. That's mostly what has changed for Ragnarok in general, and I just wanted to, kind of bring that to the table and show you guys where this game used to be and how far it's come. Instead of complaining about how little it has. So I hope you enjoyed watching. Thank you, and next time I will be level 10 and I'll get to Frontera. Until then.